So in this segment, we're going to be talking about British migrants, not expats. Let's stop using that word here, guys. British migrants in Spain blasting the EU's response to living conditions, and it's a complete waste of time. So I was going to go full dunk mode. I was going to be like, like I'm like 6'5" and I can jump really high and I can dunk on people. That's the approach I was going to take to this. But I read the article and it's just sad. To be honest, it made me sad, and so we're not going to do that. There's not going to be a lot of dunking in this video. I'm really sorry if you thought there were. I was ready to pull out the old Stan meme that I used on Femi like last year. But yeah, we're not going to do too much dunking here, guys. There'll be a bit of it, but not a ton. So we go to the video. We go to the article. So a group of around 200 retired British nationals living in Spain have issued dramatic warnings after their homes built without planning permission have not been granted the necessary protections. So you might think that, they built house extensions or whatever without permissions, and they're being asked to tear them down or whatever. But the issue is that many of the expats, like 72-year-old Linda House, were sold land 20 years ago and were advised that pending planning permission would be fine and it was safe to build on the land, only to find their new houses were deemed illegal. So they were told when they bought the property or bought the land, they had planning permission and everything was there. This was 20 years ago. It's a long time. 20 years ago I was in like primary school. Like, that's how long it was ago. A toxic mix of historic planning failures, Spanish bureaucracy, and the lack of help from the government has left them in a very precarious position. So the problem here is whatever's happened with themselves and whoever sold them the land and the Spanish council, this should have been solved, decades ago. This should have been solved really in year one when they looked to build the properties. The Spanish council, whoever runs the area, should have said, you don't have permission, and they could have resolved it. But this has been going on for 20 years. It's kind of wrangling, and it's just ridiculous. I don't understand why why this is happening. Maybe someone in the comments who knows more about Spanish councils and planning permission could enlighten me. The elderly Britons claim they are being punished after their access to water and electricity was allegedly cut off by local authorities. I mean, does that seem proportionate, really? I mean, surely this could be resolved via, some sort of fine or some sort of payment to the council, maybe, if it's illegal, or, maybe they could look retroactively at the planning permission to see if it is legal or what can be done here. Because this has been going for 20 years now, and cutting off, water and electricity, especially elderly people, is pretty horrific, to be honest. The pensioners who live in a tiny area of a place in Spain, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, that was Welsh, in the Spanish region of Murcia, which I originally read in my head as Murcia, say that 2 decades after moving to Spain, their dream homes are still not legal. I mean, again, it shouldn't take this long to resolve an issue like this. In a letter to Murcia Town Hall, seen earlier by the Express last year, the group claims to have been waiting 18 to 19 years to get their properties legalised. And again, if they're illegal, that's one thing, and that's something the council could deal with. But why does it take 20 years to get planning permission or to have your planning permission rejected? It doesn't make sense. I suppose it's one thing if the council said 15, 20 years ago that yes, it's illegal what you've done here, and it needs to be dealt with or it needs to be torn down or whatever. That's one thing. But this is just ridiculous. The immigrants write that they have had an extremely stressful time, that they are living in a third world country. I mean, I suppose you could argue that without electricity and clean water. Conditions due to their lack of access to water and electricity. Their letter sent in February last year is yet to receive a response, according to the group. Again, they're living within a council. The council should respond to them within days or weeks. It shouldn't take a year. Murcia Town Hall has not responded to repeated questions for comment, and so again, this is a dispute between residents of a town or a city with the local council. I mean, them dragging in the EU into it is just stupid. Now one of the expats, the immigrants, has hit out at the EU over the bloc's alleged lack of interest in their precarious living condition. I mean, again, this is not the EU's responsibility. The EU don't mediate disputes between people and the local council. I can't. If I build a house extension and the council like that's too big, that's illegal, I'm not gonna be like, yo, Boris, my G, yeah. What's happened is them man at the Tory council, and they said like, I ain't got planning permission to build this, and they're saying I've got to take down my extension dog, and I paid a lot of money for my extension, man. Like, well, what's this? Do something, bro. Like, that's not going to happen. Them appealing to the EU, like, these people, right? There are people who are like, oh, the EU's got too much overreach and countries aren't sovereign. The EU aren't going to go into a sovereign country, Spain, go to the Council of Murcia and be like, yo, dog, you need to give these people planning permission, like, right now. It's just a joke. Maybe they can go through the courts, the Spanish courts, and say what they've been a victim to should be illegal. Cutting off people's electricity and running water. Maybe that's illegal. I don't know about Spanish law, but writing a letter to von der Leyen and be like, dear, what are you gonna do? Like, write a letter saying, dear von der Leyen, I wrote you a letter early in the year and you still ain't calling. Like, I'm your number one fan. Like, what? I don't know, man. These people are a joke. They should be writing to the British government, to be honest. The British government and the Spanish government and this local Spanish council and, their local member of, their local elected representative say, look, we've been fighting for this for 20 years now. Why aren't you doing anything? Linda House, 72, retired company PA from Essex, told The Express that reaching out to Brussels was a complete waste of time. Well, obviously, they're not going to step in. Maybe your local elected official will, but the EU aren't. The Westminster, Parliament aren't going to get involved in a local planning dispute between you and your council. Just the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard. Linda, pictured below, who wrote the letter to the town hall on behalf of the expats in 2003. I mean, this is a joke. It's been going on this long. Honestly, she said, I've written to the EU. It's just a complete and utter waste of time as far as we're concerned. I was going to swear there. Shocker, the EU aren't going to step in here. Wow, maybe the European Court of Justice will. Maybe, if the court case goes that far. But honestly, just beggars belief in it, honestly. There were articles in the newspapers here online about some MEPs who had tried to help people in Spain by taking their case to the European Parliament. That's great, Hopefully those are Spanish MEPs, but if they were, British MEPs, they're all gone now because of Brexit. Great stuff there. She said, I've written to them, but nothing ever comes of it because Spain just ignores the EU. So you're telling me Spain are ignoring EU rulings. So you're saying Spain are so powerful, plain overhead, and so sovereign, they can just ignore the EU. I mean, that's a myth. That's really a myth, isn't it? They just do what they want, which is partly what's so attractive about coming out. These people, oh yeah, Spain are mavericks. I love it. That's why I want to come here, because Spain do what they want. And then you're like, oh no, Spain are doing what they want and they're not listening to the EU. How dare they? Like, you can't have it both ways. But in our situation, it's very frustrating. These are one of those people who probably votes Tory and is like, oh no, now that this horrible thing has impacted me, now I'm really upset about this. But before, I was in full support of it. God. It says, they say, it's just frustrating. I'm 72 years old. I like to be able to turn my tap on and use the water properly. Again, like, this should have been resolved a long time ago. It should never have gone this far. Linda wrote to the town hall on behalf of her and her neighbours who have been blighted by planning permission and a lack of action by the Spanish authorities. And again, this is a dispute between a resident and their local council. This is not a dispute between them and the Spanish government or them and the EU. So dragging in the EU doesn't make sense. Maybe your local elected member of the Spanish Parliament, or whatever system they have, could help them. But again, it's so stupid. Linda's fellow Brits who are living in a similar situation to her include 71-year-old Keith Willis. The former Heathrow airport worker from Windsor is retired with his partner Pat in that area that sounds Welsh in Spain. He told The Express how the couple are forced to use brown tap water that is only intended for agricultural use. Again, it should never have gone this far. No one's clean water or electricity should ever have been shut off here. Like Linda, because his home is not considered legal and is not on its own segregated plot, his access to basic utilities is restricted. Again, I don't know what the Spanish council are thinking by doing this. He said one of the main things he wants is getting fresh water that we can actually drink or cook with, because the water is being agricultural water. You can't do much with it, really. He added it comes out of the brown taps most of the time, so fresh water will be the main thing. And, it's pretty disgusting, to be honest. For the last 5 years, Keith has used electricity from solar panels he has installed. However, before that, he didn't have any supply at all. So they cut off his electricity 5 years ago. Why? Like, how the Spanish council, like, there are better ways to deal with this, guys. Honestly, there are. I think when it hits a certain point in the UK with planning permission, they just don't care anymore. I think it's like 20 years or something. The government just like, fine, whatever. Linda added, we got no help from the UK in this situation. We're being badly treated. And again, the UK should have stepped in here, or as much as they could have done, and spoken to the Spanish council or the Spanish government and said, look, this situation, we've got, British people who are being impacted by this. What can we do here? Is there a fee they can pay, or how can we get their properties legalised? That's what should have happened here. But instead, it's been wrangling on. The Spanish council, I'm not going to take a massive dig at them because I don't know specifically what's happened there internally, but this should have been resolved a long time time ago. That she goes, you talk about human rights. We don't have any human rights. Not really. I mean, again, it's a bit of a stretch, but okay, without electricity and running water, I'll let you have that one. We haven't got the right to water. We haven't got the right to warmth. We can't even get the heating benefit. Again, that's a UK thing. It was 6 degrees here the other day. I still pay tax in the UK. I mean, why are you paying tax in the UK? It doesn't make any sense. She goes, but I can't have access to a heating allowance. Again, that's a dispute with the British government then at that point. She goes, it's just dreadful. We feel everywhere we go, we're up against it. A Foreign Office spokesperson said, we closely engage with the Spanish government and regional governments on matters relating to UK nationals. And really? Are you? Because this has been going on for the last 20 years. I mean, even under Labour, this was going on. Why wasn't anyone doing anything about this? They go, we encourage any UK national in need of consular assistance to get in touch with the nearest embassy or consulate or call the 24/7 phone line for support. So I would be surprised if they haven't actually called this phone line. But again, I don't want to be super mean to these people. I really don't. Okay, so I'm not going to do anything that bad. I mean, this dude here in the video talks about how British migrants weren't prepared for changes in Spain, but the simple fact is, this is nothing to do with the EU. This is a dispute between residents in a town or a city who have an issue with their local council. Mercia Town, so town, I'll stop saying city. Mercia Town, their dispute is with the Mercia Town Council or a town hall or wherever it is, right? This should have been resolved a long time ago. It wasn't. And so the question is with the Mercia Town Council, if these properties are illegally built, can you authorise them? Can you say, okay, look, they were illegally built? Can you retroactively say, if you pay this amount of a fee, we'll resolve it, and say some sort of new ruling where if this happens in future, your house is going to get demolished or whatever, the land will be repaid or whatever they want to do, right? I mean, you've cut off electricity for a bunch of pensioners. They could die. Is that what this council really want? People to die because of their inability to deal with sort of allegedly illegally built properties? Honestly, is that kind of the world we want to live in here? I don't put blame on the Spanish government, not really. This is a dispute between a council and the local residents. Do I put blame on the Mercia Town Council? A bit, but without knowing their kind of internal processes, that's a problem. MEPs have clearly tried to do stuff. I doubt the Spanish government have just ignored them because they really cannot do that because that's how you end up in court. But the simple fact is, what more can you say apart from, why are you writing to the EU? I mean, people should start contacting their local elected officials and saying, this situation, we're your constituents, please can you help us? Or can you bring this up to the attention of the Spanish government? That's what I'd be doing here, Again, when I first saw this headline, I was like, all right, it's time to dunk on these fools. But having read through the article, I just feel sad. I feel sorry for them. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.